Yes, hello. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 EX Pokemon in Pokemon Pocket. We are basing this off of limitless data, but we're also basing this off of my opinion. So I already hit Master Ball rank within 24 hours, essentially, of the ranked ladder triggering. Yeah, I have no life. I think I have an idea as to what the best cards are in terms of EX Pokemon, and I will do a non-EX as well simply because we're now in the month of June, and I think it's time to re-update that list since there's actually quite a bit of changes already. So, yeah, let's get into it. So at number 10, we have Decidueye EX. Realistically, there's not much to talk about. Everyone at this point should know what this card does, but the reason why it's so low on this list, despite it, if I had done this the previous month, it would have been so high, is simply because it's just not doing well. Buzzwole is just a straight up better EX grass Pokemon. It's just crazy. Like, literally the synergy with its own deck is just a lot more consistent than Decidueye EX. And there is a Decidueye EX Decidueye deck going around with the Stage 2 Decidueye that is non-EX, but it's just not doing that well. And the reason for it is there's just a lot of tanky Pokemon out there, and it's not hitting relevant breakpoints. And the same thing can be said about this Decidueye EX. You need to be able to hit your opponent already, so that way you can use Pierce the Pain, and then Razor Leaf dealing 80 for 2 energy, while good, is clearly not good enough, considering you have now access to cards like Silvally, which is a non-EX that can hit for 100 for 2 energy. Sure, less HP, but still. So as a result, Decidueye EX is number 10 on this list, and if you disagree with that, well, I don't care, because you're wrong. And sitting at number 9 is Tapu Koko EX. Now, you may be wondering, but why is Tapu Koko EX higher up than Decidueye? It's because it's doing better in tournaments. It's that simple. Is it going to be doing that well in the ladder? No, and the reason for it is, again, there's a deck that is gatekeeping the entire ladder, and if you cannot beat this deck, which is Silvally Rampardos, you just cannot play in the ladder very well. This is to say that it's not the best deck in the format, because I think people that say that Silvally Rampardos is the best deck in the format is about to be in for a rude awakening. It is already declining fast, and it's more of a gatekeeper to the meta. So if your deck cannot handle that specific deck, you're done. And Tapu Koko EX being an electric type definitely doesn't help its case. The fact that that deck also runs no EX means that your Oricorio is completely useless. So Tapu Koko EX, despite being fast, is clearly just not fast enough. That's not to say it can't win games, because it clearly can, and it has been doing so, but it really just comes down to the decline of Rampardos Silvally. If it keeps on going down, I think Tapu Koko will keep on increasing, because it goes fast. It is actually quite insane how fast this card plays out, and can really sweep games if you're not careful, or if you don't respect the card. I think a lot of people were underwhelmed by it because, I mean, 20 and then 90 isn't that cool, but Plasma Hurricane is actually such a powerhouse of a tempo play. It's not obviously a very strong attack because 20 damage for 1 energy, not strong, but if you compare that to Zapdos EX, which has Peck for 20 and that's it, this is just clearly the better card. I mean, they have the same base HP, and yet Plasma Hurricane has a skill attached to it, and then you follow it up with Mach Bolt for 90. So you're essentially doing basically 2 turns in a row after Plasma Hurricane, 90-90, that's 180. That's at hitting breakpoints. That's actually very relevant. So as a result, Tapu Koko EX is sitting at number 9. And at number 8, we have Arceus EX. The reason why this is still, surprisingly, in the top 10 list is because the card hasn't disappeared. It's also becoming more and more relevant in a lot of niche matchups because there's a lot of poison decks running around here and there, and Arceus EX just says no to that. Like, Fabled Luster is an automatic no. Now, is this card what it once was? No, absolutely not. It's a very slow card. However, it is being played in Giratina Darkrai variants and other variations, also Arceus Giratina, and they're actually doing pretty well. Obviously, the sample size is small, but it's still a solid win percentage despite that small sample size. So despite it being a decent win percentage, I can't put this any higher in good conscience, because if you really look at the ladder, it's nowhere to be seen. It's really just for tournament play, and as a result, it's just one of those cards that also falls prey to Rampardos Silvally, and just can't go any higher than this. But you must respect the card. If you don't, you will be in for a rude awakening. So as a result, sits at number 8. And at number 7, we have Incineroar EX. This card is doing very well in the ladder. It's not doing as well in tournament settings, and I couldn't really pinpoint as to why. However, it does very well in the ladder. It's a great pickup card. It's fantastic against Buzzwole decks. Being able to attack sooner and also having high threshold HP means that Buzzwole can't really deal with it. And then Scar Charge Smash goes and swings back for 160. Add a red to this, and it's 180. It's dead, right? Giovanni, 170. It's dead. There's no way that Buzzwole can keep up with that. And most Incineroar Turt decks, I think, are running Giovanni over red, just because there's a lot of Silvally Rampardoses out there, and you want to be hitting breakpoints, right? So one of the things that you can do is with Giovanni, you're actually hitting for 40, then 20, so that you're actually hitting 60. It can kill basic Pokemon like that, right? If they have 60 HP, it's gone. If you have Scar Charge Smash, you're hitting for 150, Rampardos is dead. So as a result, the Giovanni is just a great card paired up with Incineroar EX. It's hitting valid breakpoints, and it's just one of those decks that if you're not paying attention, it will steamroll you. So as a result, it is sitting at number 7. However, I do believe this deck could climb even farther, especially with the Turtonator variant. It allows for some actual counterplay against Darktina, which is pretty cool. And at number 6, we have Guzzlord EX. So as predicted, this card is actually doing very well. It's obviously not doing as well as people thought. People were looking at this card as like the card of the set, and that's obviously turning out not to be the case. However, it's still a solid card. It is still very strong, and Lusamine definitely helps Tyrannical Hole become active very quickly. Grindcore as an attack is actually really good. Even just for 30 and then doing nothing else is still solid. Obviously, this is just a card that you use to tank, as well as you set up with Nihilego, or whatever you call that, the Jellyfish card. It allows for, you want to Poison Barb this thing, obviously, and you want to have set 2. Celesteela helps with the pivoting, so that retreat cost is essentially 0, which is great. It itself, in a vacuum, isn't that good. However, because of all the support that is surrounding this card is actually doing a lot better, and it's showing up very well in tournaments. Obviously, not as strong as some other decks, but still strong enough that you can't just write it off as a free win. If you don't actually play and understand the matchup, you will lose. And if you do lose, it's because you didn't play well, you didn't understand what the deck can do, and as a result, it killed you. This is why a lot of players are running Guzma nowadays, because without a Guzma, Guzzlord EX and Nihilego just essentially dominate. And yeah, it just comes down to that. So Guzzlord EX is sitting at number 6 because, surprise, surprise, it's still a solid card despite all of its flaws. And at number 5, we have a surprise entry, Solgaleo EX. If you had told me last month that Solgaleo EX would become the 5th best EX card in the game, I wouldn't have believed you, because honestly, this card, in a vacuum, is amazing. But it had no relevant support necessary in order to play efficiently. And all of a sudden, this set comes out, Extra Dimensional Crisis, and gives us Shiinotic. And I kid you not, somehow, being able to search your cards out is automatically making this deck crazy good. This is how I hit Master Ball rank, by the way. I played Solgaleo EX Shiinotic because there is no Oricorio to be found anywhere. Which, by the way, if you play Oricorio, you're basically just countering this deck completely. However, because of where I was sitting, Ultra Ball 4, there's no Oricorio because everything is Silvally Rampardos. And guess what counters Silvally Rampardos very, very well? Solgaleo EX Shiinotic. So, yeah, this card is definitely sitting at number 5. It can definitely rise higher. It's doing extremely well in tournaments. It has probably one of the highest, if not the highest, win percentage right now, despite not being first in, I think, any tournaments as of yet. But that win percentage says a lot about what it can do. And this deck goes hard. Find one Shiinotic, all of a sudden you're starting to steamroll your opponent. Just because you're searching, you're thinning the deck, you're being able to draw cards that you actually need because now you're just searching for your Pokemon pieces. It's just a crazy deck. I will definitely do a breakdown when I show you my Master Ball video, how I got to Master Ball under 24 hours. And yeah, this deck is just stupid. Obviously, it has its counters. It is not perfect. You definitely need to set it up with specific tech cards if you want to be able to take out specific matchups, like Charizard. This deck will die to Charizard without Cape. And if they have a Guzma, well, good luck. You're probably dead. So, it's just one of those decks that obviously has some bad matchups. But what deck doesn't? Solgaleo EX is just a surpriser. I didn't expect to put this on my list, but as of today, or as of the time when I'm releasing this recording, yeah, it's a great card. Could it rise even higher? Absolutely, but as of now, I think the best I can give it is number 5. And sitting at number 4 is Darkrai EX. Now, this card, honestly, is it better than Solgaleo in a vacuum? No, absolutely not. But what makes this card so good is because there are poison decks out there, and that's not actually the main deck. The main deck is Dark Tina. Let's be real. If we're really talking about Darkrai EX, we're talking about Dark Tina. Dark Tina just recently, I think, won a tournament? If I'm not mistaken, actually, let's go and check that real quick, just so I can show you. As of the May 31st, first place of a 922 tournament deck. Boom, here's the deck list. This deck is still dominating. It's crazy how good this deck is. So I just want to point out, like, consistency is key. Darkrai EX is here clearly to stay. And if you are struggling in the ladder, play this deck. Like, just seriously, copy this deck and play it. As long as you understand the nuances of the deck and you understand your matchups, you will win. Not all games, but you will win games. If you want a better win rate at the end of your ladder climb, unlike me, you will play this deck. This season, I wanted to play different decks, so I tanked my win rate really hard. No excuse. I'm just saying it's the reality of the thing, especially as a Pocket creator. I chose to struggle because I wanted to try out new decks. Should I have played this and gotten a high win rate as like last season with the 67% win rate? Probably, but I wanted to do something different. So yeah, Darkrai EX is number 4 because it's attached to Giratina, which, yes, newsflash, we're going to talk about that card soon. And at number 3, we've got Buzzwole EX. Now, you may be wondering, if this deck is already like pretty much like number 2 on the list or number 3, why is this only 3rd on my list? Well, the reason for it is that it has some hard counters. It has some neutral matchups. It is not the dominating deck that people thought it was going to be when they first started playing it. Like, it was dominating upon release, but it has slowed down immensely because there are counters. There are ways to essentially slow this card down. One of the biggest ways is if you can't find Lusamine, you're going to struggle. If you can't find Celesteela, you're going to struggle. So basically, if you can't find all of your pieces, you could actually end up being in a situation where you just can't deal the damage you need, or you can't big beat constantly, which can be a big problem. He's a bulky Mon, so that's good. However, he can get one-shot by Charizard. And if you have Giovanni and you have a damaged Incineroar, he can get one-shot by Incineroar. If you have double Solgaleo, you can essentially do breakpoints with Solgaleo, and even if they Erica and they have Leaf Cape, it's not enough. They're still gonna die. So as a result, Buzzwole EX, despite being number 3 on the list, definitely has some hard counters, but you cannot ignore the impact it's had on the meta, and I think it's here to stay. It's one of those cards that is obviously good. It was the front of the pack for a reason, and the devs knew what they were doing when they made this card the way they did. It is a solid card, it is a strong deck, and if you're struggling with using this deck, it just means that you are clearly making mistakes here or there that are costing you games. But as a result, I can't put this higher than number 3 because there are just better cards, 2 cards specifically, that are better than this card in a nutshell for this ladder, for the ranked. And at number 2, we've got Charizard EX. Basically, every top 1K player in UB4 that I had to either lose to or clown on was playing a Charizard EX. And I say this because I recorded my matches, and I can tell you right now that almost every top 1K player that had the emblem top 1K was playing Charizard. This specific Charizard. It's a good deck. It's solid. It's good against Buzzwole. It's good against Dark Tina. It's good against Solgaleo. It's good against Silvally Rampardos. It's good against every deck. Now, obviously, it can brick. And if it bricks, well, you're gonna die. If you get red carded or Mars and you can't find your pieces because of red card and Mars, you're gonna die. But it also runs red cards, it can run Mars, so there are obviously ways that you can counterplay. So as a result, it really just comes down to, can you survive? Did you build your deck appropriately so that way you can stoke and then steam artillery every single turn? And it's just a great deck. There is the Turtonator Charizard variant, which is also doing very well. Is it better than the just straight up Charizard? It's questionable. It's hard to say because right now I think the meta is still very imbalanced in terms of what decks are really defining what is the meta. Obviously, Silvally Rampardos is the deck to beat, but it's more of a gatekeeper deck than it is the deck. If we had talked about this, like, at the time of that I'm recording this, if we had talked about this yesterday, because, like, May 31st, then it would have been the meta. But as of today, June 1st, the day I'm recording this video, I don't know when this is coming out, Solgaleo Rampardos tanked really hard. That's not to say it's a bad deck. Again, it's a fantastic deck. However, it's more of a gatekeeper to the meta than the deck, the meta. And as a result, Charizard EX is just one of those cards that has a good matchup against all of those. Obviously can lose to any of those matchups if you're unlucky or can't find your cards, or if they just have the right answers to your Charizard and you can't build up that second one, then in that case, you're going to struggle. However, this card, just clear since Rare Candy has come out, is just a dominating force. It is here to stay until something just outpaces it. Charizard EX is just, it's a fantastic card. Obviously, when Shining Revelry came out, it sucked, so it wouldn't have been on this list. But as of right now, it is number 2 on the list. And at number 1, and to nobody's shock, it's Giratina EX. Whoa! Let's be real, Darktina is just a dominating force. It is obviously not the strongest deck in the meta as it once was, or were, or however you do grammar, but it is still such a powerhouse. It is such a, just, you would never think that being able to end your turn by getting an energy would be so good, but it is. And the reason for that is because of all the healing it can do, all of the hand disruption it can do, all of the essentially setup that it allows with Darkrai. It's just a crazy card. Obviously, a lot of the decks that were great last meta, because of this new set, are no longer good, but the one deck that stood the test of time is Darkrai Giratina, aka Darktina. How? I don't know. It's just adapting. It's just 4 basics and then 16 trainer cards. Broken. Obviously, if you really want to climb the ladder, I think this is the deck to do it with. You'll probably have an easier time than if you use Solgaleo Shiinotic or Charizard or Solgaleo Rampardos, because while people can beat you when you're playing this deck, there isn't really any hard counter. As long as you understand your matchups and you understand what to put in your active slot, depending on what deck you're up against. If you're up against Buzzwole, ideally you have a Giratina in the front and the back, so that way Darkrai can sit in the back as well, and you can just ping from the back safely, while also, well, safely, I say in quotations because a Pheromosa exists, but you also have Giratina in the back to build up. It's just, the deck is crazy. It just does too much. And with Pokemon Center Lady, you have access to healing, so that way Pheromosa isn't super deadly. It's just crazy to me that this deck just does so well. And Buzzwole is on the decline because of so many fire decks out there, so that way Giratina Darkrai isn't really contested as much as it was before. And as a result, they don't even have to run as many tools. And it's just, I don't understand. I couldn't tell you why this card is just so broken, other than Broken Space Bellow is a broken ability, and Chaotic Impact, despite being 4 energy, 130 is still a solid piece of damage, and Buzzwole's only swinging for 120. Sure, it's for 1 energy less, but this card, I don't know when it will be dethroned, hopefully next set. It's not that I hate Giratina, I love Giratina EX. I played it for 2 seasons in a row, but I got tired of it, and I feel like it's time for it to eventually slowly be phased out, simply because it's just one of those decks that, or this card specifically, I feel maybe was overtuned too much. So as a result, this is number 1 on the list, but hopefully by next season it does disappear, or at least, if not disappear, go down. I would like this card to no longer be the number 1 EX in the game. That's all I actually want. If any card could dethrone this, I'd love it. So without further ado, that's the video. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. Also, don't forget to like or share or, you know, that sort of thing, because again, it helps me out a lot. But with that being said, thanks for watching. Have yourselves a salty day, and I will see you in the next video.